I'm going to go over the 6 pairs that I broke down for you guys. Starting off, I always like to do DXY first thing, get a kind of a sentiment for the US dollar, see where it's going, see what the market has in store for us because, you know, the USD is the most widely traded pair, and a lot of the majors that we do trade, you know, are dependent on what the dollar is doing. So let's just go ahead with an overall view of the trend, just familiarize ourselves with what has been going on. Overall in this monthly, it's very bullish. So that means the same for the weekly, very bullish. As we can see here, it's been bullish all the way since May 2018. So let's hop to the daily and see what the most recent trend is going to mean for us and what's happening here. So it looks like we have a bit of a daily bearish trend, right? So we have these lower highs, these lower lows, lower highs, and what looks to be forming another lower high in this area. So this area is very crucial. It's pretty much going to decide where the dollar is going. So if it consolidates in this pocket and then breaks above this blue resistance level, we're then going to, you know, consider changing our sentiment back to bullish. And then we want to see a low form, and then we would look for setups in that area, you know, assuming that the dollar is continuing to the bulls are taking over and it's continuing upward. So if that breakout doesn't happen, we're looking for this lower high to be confirmed, looking for some sort of bearish setup, break below this daily, and then we're just going to target lower. And then there'll be more potential entries on another lower high in this area.
Over to like people that don't know what is it?
Yeah, and we're going to target down to this daily level and so on as we see more confirmation. So again, this is DXY. This is the dollar index. So this purely shows the strength of the US dollar, and it's represented here on this chart. It's not, you know, a pair. It's just, I just use it as an indicator. I don't personally trade it. I just use it to figure out the sentiment for the US dollar. So right now, safe to say that we're pretty bearish, especially if we start getting more confirmations. So these wicks are good. The fact that this 200 EMA is acting as resistance, the fact that this trend line is there, the fact that we have this lower low and, you know, repeated lower highs, it's looking very bearish. And, you know, we can go ahead and jump to another chart now that we've pretty much got our outlook for the US dollar. So that was DXY. We're going to move on to AU. And first thing we do, we always jump up time frames, get the overall look, see what's going on. Very bearish. This is the monthly time frame. Very bearish. Same with the weekly. Let's drop down again. Very bearish. You know, this is a huge area for retracements. We saw this major support level broken, retested once as resistance, retested again as it wicked here. But we could, you know, what does this mean in the more, you know, in the short term? So let's drop to the daily. So just to reiterate, monthly and weekly are bearish, but we can see here that the daily trend is bullish. So it's been bullish all the way since October 2019. And we keep getting these higher highs and higher lows and so on. And it looks to me that we're getting a bit of a higher low now. So it does look confirmed. We have a giant engulfing candle, especially on the 4-hour. Let's drop down. Giant engulfing candle. It's breaking minor resistance. So this could very well be headed to the upside. This could be a continuation. Ideally, I would love to see a retrace down to this support level to test these MAs again, followed by some bullish setups, and then we can begin to target long.
Oh yeah.
You know, especially if we get that higher low confirmed here, it's just looking very bullish, especially on this the daily time frame. And we're going to look to target the 0% and potentially even higher if the momentum's there. If we like what we see, if there's more setups, if this trend holds very strong, we could definitely see this level broken and continue to target higher. So until then, we're just waiting for confirmations, but this is looking very good. Again, AUD on the 4-hour, a nice retest with some confirmations would be perfect. All right, so that's AUD. Let's go ahead and move over to AJ. This one actually might be one of my favorite potential trades for this week, and I'll explain why. So here we are on the monthly, very bearish, right? We get these lower lows, lower lows. Let's go to the weekly, see what's going on. Very bearish. But we do see that price action is coming up into this resistance area. So this was support, major monthly level. It was broken. And now we're looking to test it again before before price action decides where it's going to go, whether it's going to break out and continue higher, or it's going to reverse this level and continue the overall trend. This is the weekly. Let's drop down to the daily. So here's this daily trend, very bullish since September. You know, higher highs, higher lows, pretty textbook trend, pretty strong channel. We had a bit of a fake out here on this daily closure. So price action popped out of this trend line, looked like it was pushing lower, but then reversed swiftly and actually held, yeah, right, it's a giant wick. It actually held here at this support level and then continued to push higher, breaking lower time frame resistance and giving us reason to think that this may be continuing higher. So
did you map that all the way back from
the forecast?
Yeah.
It's a previous pattern that happened on this pair. So here is that the minor resistance lower time frame that it broke. So this would be absolutely perfect if we see a bit of a retracement to this support level now, broken resistance term support. Love to see a pullback, get in on a higher low here, and get in on a good bullish setup. We're going to target a higher high, which is also going to be a fib level or this monthly resistance. So we're just going to look for this trend to continue. A lot of potential in this trade here. If it pulls back, gives us a setup, this is 175 pips to the upside. So there's a lot of potential for this trade this week. I personally love AJ when it shows good setups because you can make so many pips off it. But yeah, we're just looking for that retest.
Yep, no retest, no entry.
Yep, that's where we're at right now. So really excited for this pair. Looking good. Let's see what we got next. A little Euro USD. First thing we do, we jump up time frames, right? Take a look at what we see. Very bearish. Very bearish. Here was that major support level, tested 3 times, finally broken, retested as resistance, and then it's just been bearish ever since. Pretty steep channel. Let's go ahead and see what the weekly has for us. But yeah, very steep. A bit of consolidation in here, but still a very bearish trend. Here's another major support level, resistance, or it was support broken, and then tested as resistance multiple times. Let's drop to the daily. So we've been bullish on this daily time frame since October, but keeping in mind the overall trend, very bearish. So we do have a bit of a break here. This broke and closed, but it did come back, and there's a lot of bearish volume in here. We have 2 bearish engulfings, but it looks like we're forming a bit of a higher low here. So this break, may just be foreshadowing this move, this next move to come, the next leg up. So let's drop to the 4-hour and see what kind of confirmations we're seeing. Again, this is definitely a higher low. Look, there's a lower time frame transition here. This little resistance level was broken. It's starting to show the signs of a continuation, but we want to see this resistance level broken and retested. Until then, there's not enough confirmations. We simply want to see that this is going to be a healthy trend, that there's good bullish momentum, break, retest, bullish setups in this area. That's when we'll be looking to go long. And we do get that retest. This will be a higher low, another higher low. So again, just another confirmation supporting this this trade idea. So this would actually be a pretty aggressive move if this does break and this is like a true closure on this daily time frame. This has a lot of potential if this breaks. So this could be moving all the way up to the negative 61.8, higher time frame resistance levels. So just keep an eye on this Euro USD. It's kind of on the precipice of something big. But again, confirmations, it really is. If this pops out, like this could really fly.
What Euro USD?
So almost 200 pips, guys.
Although this is the daily.
Yeah, this is the daily trend. So keep an eye on it. This break, I do like this. This is a good sign. This break here.
We're just waiting.
Yep, waiting on that one. So far, the best prospect is definitely AJ. This thing's ready to rock. Just got to get that retest. So let's take a look at, I got 2 more pairs for you guys. Euro CHF is what we're on now. Let's jump up time frames. Very bearish. This is actually a kind of a funky pair. It has all these giant wicks, these big momentum.
Damn.
It's pretty crazy. But yeah, anyway, the monthly is very bearish. Let's go drop to the weekly. See what it's got for us. Should be the same thing. Very bearish, as we can see here, right? Very bearish trend. And then I believe, let's see what the daily is. Yeah, so pretty much every time frame is bearish on this right now. Here was a bit of a pattern, a bit of a triangle that broke out. Now it's very extended. But we do have these lower time frame structure levels. And I'll show you on the 4-hour here. So yes, it's actually a pretty healthy trend. It's just forming these lower lows, testing the broken support level as resistance, pushing lower, testing again, pushing lower, and so on and so on. So what we have here on the 4-hour, we have this resistance trend line where the trend is kind of just bouncing off of. We have a bit of a double top here, and now we see that price action, it gapped and pushed lower. So we're pretty much waiting for some type of really clear bearish confirmation. So here's a bit of a gap followed by some exhaustion. Ideally, I would like to see price action push up to here, maybe give us an evening star, give us an engulfing through the MAs, maybe some huge exhaustion off the 618. We just want to see more because these wicks just aren't cutting it for us. This doji isn't good. It represents indecision. It's not really something that we want to see. So we want to see a clear break of this red support level as well as this down here. We'd like to see this. So break below here would be pretty clear. Any lower high with bearish confirmations, bearish setups would be perfect. In which case we'll be targeting down to the 61.8, the negative 61.8, about 90 pips away. So, I mean, it's very bearish. It's very likely that it's going to push there, maybe even lower to this this higher time frame, negative 27. So until then, yeah, this is a key level too. A little bit of exhaustion on the daily. So we're just waiting for more confirmations on this one too. But it's setting up to be something pretty good. So let's keep moving here. 0 CHF. Last one I got for you guys is UCAD. This one's looking interesting. Let's go to the daily. The daily is bullish. But then we do have range though. You can see how every time it gets near this monthly, it bounces. Every time it gets near this monthly, it bounces. Monthly bounces, so on and so on. Yeah, it is over here, right? So it's a bit of a consolidation within this range, but let's see what's happening on the lower time frames. So yes, we have this ascending triangle. As you can see, we're getting these lower highs repeatedly, and then all these lows across the board. So that means price action is squeezing and getting pressured down around this support level. It's just getting pushed lower and lower and lower until ultimately, you know, something breaks. So it pushes out, something's got to give, right? So let's go ahead and drop to the daily, see what's going on here. All right, so this is a good sign. This is a significant point of closure below this low. So this is actually a lower low, which is a very good sign, which is hinting at a break of this support level.
Yeah.
So right now we're looking at the retracement, huge exhaustion off this whole area, this resistance level and the 61.8. So I would ideally like to see price action push up a couple more times, then give us a big bearish setup, right? We want to see a nice engulfing through these MAs, nice evening star, something like this over here. Well, this one's a little too big to capitalize on, but something like this. See right here, guys? This big engulfing right through the MAs, and then price action just continue down. We want to see something like that. Something like this even, a nice engulfing off the MAs. That's what we're looking for, and then we're going to target lower. So let's go ahead and see where we can target down to the 61.8. Let's go ahead and jump up time frame for a second, just to see the absolute furthest that this could push. So yeah, the 61.8 is a really good spot right now. There's a little bit of support in here. Price action has, rejected as resistance, rejected as support a couple times.
That's definitely a key level.
So this is the area where we're looking to go if we do get those confirmations and UCAD decides to drop. But the good thing is, with every analysis I just gave you guys, it lines up with DXY. If DXY continues its bearish push, all these analyses should play out. You know, as we can see here, US CAD, if the dollar drops, that would support this trade idea, pushing the dollar lower. So those are my analyses that I prepared for you guys. If you want to review them and get the little video analysis that we post with every pair, you can check it out in the Discord or in our free Telegram. So definitely check those out, guys. All 12 pairs are there. And I'm going to pass this off to Angelo so he can go over his 6 that he has for you guys.
You want to just answer these 2 questions they got?
Yeah, I'll answer.
Can you explain why you're drawing certain zones and do top down from monthly?
Sure. All right, I'm just going to read the question so everyone can hear. Can you explain why you're drawing certain zones, etc., and do top-down analysis from monthly, weekly? Okay, so I'm not going to do a full breakdown, but I'm going to cover how I get to these areas. So these higher time frame support and resistance levels, I find these based on the monthly. So I'll always start top-down analysis, which means you start on the highest time frame and you work your way down slowly through the monthly, weekly, daily, 4-hour, 1 hour, etc. So I'll start off, I'll look at the line chart, and I'll just find areas that are significant, where price action has tested multiple times on both the sellers and buyer side, and an area that also is somewhat of a psychological level. So you can see here how this zone is kind of a nice whole number. That's a psychological level, and it also kind of adds to the confidence that you have in your support and resistance, where you're placing them, because it signifies that this is a big area. You know, psychological levels are used by banks a lot they'll use a lot in order flow trading, where there'll be a lot of orders riding at, a significant whole number or a psychological level. So that's kind of how I'll find these areas, and I'll plot them throughout. And then once I think it looks good, I'll drop down time frames. I'll start identifying trends. I'll start,
Yeah, and again, we just do it like we teach, 3 situations: gap, touch, overlap. That's just on the line chart what we're looking for. And all those mean is that those are areas, like Nick said, that a lot of orders are being placed previously. And we're mainly marking the key levels where there has been a lot of orders placed for sellers and for buyers. So that is how we're going to signify an actual key level. And then we're going to use our random line for, like he was going through with his analysis, for just levels of support that are formed from previous lower lows and from higher lows and whatnot, and previous points of structure.
Right. So that's like the first step in doing any analysis for us based on our strategy is we'll mark out our support and resistance levels in the higher time frames, and then slowly work our way down and make sense of the market, kind of dice it up where we'll put these trend lines in, identify patterns, identify the lower time frame trends, any transitions, and so on. And then we'll start applying Fibonacci.
Yeah, because just think of it, you want to enter where most of the orders are going to be being placed, right? That's why we're creating these entry zones. That's why we're not entering at these lows. We want to enter at points where a lot of volume is going to be coming to the market. So when we do find that lower time frame entry, again, we are intraday into swing trading, right? So when we do find that lower or intraday move, the intraday entry, that is in a place where orders are going to be set in so that our stop loss, we can potentially capitalize the most possible by leveraging with that position, right? So we always want to try to minimize our risk. We always want to try to have as tight of a stop loss as we possibly can, but outside of levels of structure.
Right. So that's a good explanation. So I'm going to move on to the next question here. Do you enter after a candlestick has closed, as we do during backtesting? Yes. And the thing is, you don't want to wait for a daily candle closure or a 4-hour. You want to be on your execution time frames looking for candle closure. You don't want to miss the trade. You want to be on the 30-minute or the 1 hour even at max, because once you see a transition happening, you're already on the 1 hour and 30-minute because you saw something on the 4 hour. So that's what it means when we work our way down is, we'll see a daily confirmation, we'll see 4-hour confirmation. Now it's time to be on the 30-minute and 1 hour. So
yeah, we want to be breaking down these daily candles and actually catching, like Nick said, the transition on that lower time frame. We enter on 30-minute. But so another thing, I had a one-on-one right with a member, and we were going over back testing. Your rules that you set in a back test, you're using the replay tool, you're simulating a live market. Hopefully you're keeping integrity in the sense that you don't know where the trend is actually going. So it's like a real simulation.
Right.
The way that those rules are placed and the way that you're entering on that test, that should be very similar to the live chart. That should almost be exact. So those are the setups that you're looking for.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't get on a live chart and then all of a sudden you take subconsciously all of these different trades and recognize all these patterns, and you shouldn't be testing on a live chart with real money. Testing is on a back test, right? And then once you get on the live chart, it's okay, I have my rules, I will only live and die by them. And I feel like that's the hardest part to bridge, especially for people not like beginners but like intermediate, people have been training for 1-2 years, is to make the shift from I'm gonna just do whatever on the live chart to, like Nick said, I'm only going to enter on this retest, or I'm only going to enter on my rule. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's momentum, long candle.
So I'm going to explain to him
Yeah.
a bad entry here in a second. I want to fill this in red.
Again, go by your rules. Go by the way that you've been testing if you need to. And I know, Hans, I think the first step is to, if you don't have lower time frame, if you can't go on the lower time frames like while you're back testing, you're really putting yourself at a disadvantage, in the live market. You should invest in your business. Like TradingView Pro, I think is only like $30 a month.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So like, it really doesn't make sense not to upgrade at least to the base like pro version.
Right.
Like just being real.
So Hans, also yes, we always want to wait for some type of closure before we enter because a market can pull back on you pretty swiftly. So I like to enter on bearish setups. So let's say we're looking for a sell. I want to see that there's a lower high, that there's confirmation in the form of an engulfing candle or an evening star. So let's say I see all those confirmations set up. I'm on the 30-minute. I'm ready to take an entry, right? I'm waiting for that final confirmation, that candle closure of an engulfing. So this would be a valid example. Boom. This is that lower high. This is that bearish engulfing. This is what I would enter on. This, pretend this is a wick. It's off center, but pretend it's a wick. I don't know why it's doing that, but
That's fine. It's because
yeah, there we go. So if I see this happen, this is an engulfing technically, but there's a huge wick on it. I'm not going to enter because that shows exhaustion. That shows that there's not enough conviction to really take this trend, and that it could very well reverse on you, or it's in a consolidation phase. So you want something that's clearly defined, that shows conviction, that lines up with all your rules, and that leaves you pretty much with no doubt that this is a great setup. You know, all that this represents is doubt. This wick is
and
doubt.
all that tells us is based on price action. If I'm just looking at a chart and I see, you know, if I'm doing an analysis and I see that wick, all that tells me is that at that point, you know, there's seller's exhaustion, that buyers came into the market, that right now there's buying pressure coming in. We probably shouldn't be selling like he's going over, like the setup isn't clean enough.
And so here's an example too why you want to wait for the candle closure, because like let's say this is a live candle, right? You see that there's volume coming into it, it's pushing down to here. It looks like it's going to be engulfing. If you took an entry here and then it closes in the last 3 minutes like this, you just entered at the bottom of a wick and it pulled back on you, and it's probably going to consolidate for a while. So
again, this is on entry time frames.
Yes, entry time.
30 minute, 1 hour, 15 minute. Again, also, you don't only have to, there's not one entry. You know what I'm saying? There's not just one entry.
Right.
I was going over this too, is that, yes, there is maybe the ideal entry, the one candle, but once you do recognize that, you know, say you're trying to buy, and say on the 15 minute you get that perfect bullish engulfing morning star, whatever, right, that you should have entered on. Following that move on the 15-minute trend, it's still going to be making higher highs and higher lows.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So you can still take advantage of that move, but just wait for the retest. Wait for the retest to validate that this support level is going to hold, you know, that you can use that, leverage that, or, you know, be mindful always of the 1 hour. You know what I'm saying? There will always be other entries. Don't
always.
I see a lot of people say, I missed the entry, I'm not on the chart. You know what I'm saying? If you have your rules set in place, and you have this is why we kind of do this 4 hour daily, you know, intraday to swing, because we don't have to be on the chart 24/7. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to be on the charts 24/7. We're lining up our entry zones. As they're in the zones, we're basically, say we're looking at it on the 30-minute time frames or the 1 hour time frames. You know, around whenever, like, say it's the morning session, night session, whatever, we'll check every hour. We'll check every 30 minutes. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't take much effort to check for 2 seconds when that candle closes.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So,
and this goes in hand with too. You can use alerts to your advantage. So let's say you missed your entry, and now the next stage of the trend, like if it's a bullish trend, the next stage of the trend would be a higher high. You're not going to enter at the higher high. So I'm going to set an alert where I think the higher low is going to be at a key fib level where there's a lot of confluence, and that's where you want to enter on the second entry.
Even so though, if you are on that lower time frame, and to his point, if it is, you know, if your entry was at a higher low and there's a higher high that forms, let's be honest, if you're basing that on a daily push, you know what I'm saying? If you're basing that on a daily push, you can still enter at that higher high, but use risk management. You know what I'm saying? Lower the lot size, use your original stop loss based on the entry that was the better entry. You know what I'm saying? Reduce the risk and still put the right risk reward. Like, measure it out, make sure that it makes sense.
Yeah, there's absolutely a lot of ways you can do it, and it all comes down to risk management at the end of the day. Exactly. I mean, granted that initial entry probably would have been the most probable with the best RR, but again, like he was been saying, like there's plenty of entries. There will always be another entry. It's simply how the market moves, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Hans, you know, I would say that it really just depends. If you're only looking on the daily time frame and you're only able to backtest on the daily, you're really just like going to be position trading.
Yeah, the problem with exactly. So trading view only for the free mode only gives you the replay tool on the daily. So that will just play into a longer term strategy. If each candle represents a day, you know, it's just naturally going to take more time than if you're playing it on the 4 hour or 1 hour.
If you're recognizing rules or you're recognizing patterns on that time frame that consistently over and over and over again are working for you, maybe those rules you should apply on a live chart. But the thing is, like, just be mindful that those are daily candles. you're going to have to potentially wait up to a week or 2 weeks to see the move play out. So just be aware of that.
Yeah, but it's also not totally, it's not useless because, you know, the market formation and structure is going to be the same on all time frames for whatever pair you're analyzing it on. But it definitely is to get more technical on the lower time frames.
Yeah, a good point, though, is also that, like, as I'm going to go over my analysis, we're going to start in like 1 minute. Basically, as we do this top-down analysis, we go from the monthly, the weekly, the daily. You know, a lot of the times we'll be on the daily time frame, we'll know where we're at, but at the same time, structure isn't as clear as if we were to bump down to the 4-hour. All of a sudden, we can see structure a little bit more clearly, and that creates other entry opportunities. That's why we'll bounce around 4-hour daily for our overall structure. We won't just use the daily. Because sometimes the daily will just be too congested into one candle. We want to break that candle down a little bit more. We want to recognize if there's a transition. You know what I mean? We want to be able to look at more data. When we look at a market and you have no idea what's going on, how to analyze it.
Used to. It used to be like that, but now.
I mean, sometimes though, like if that happens, I'll just go to another pair. Like sometimes you look at a chart and, I mean, to Nick's point, now, you know, we're always going to have some sort of basis on where to go with things, but if I'm ever like confused or I'm burnt out, I look at a chart and I really don't know what's about to, I don't have a good analysis, I'll go to a different pair. Like
You could always switch up pairs.
I'll go to another pair. And another thing also is that not every pair, like when you'll test, you'll realize, or you might realize that pairs can form structure on different time frames. So daily time frame for some pairs is always good forming structure. 4-hour time frame for some pairs is always forming structure. Like, so you want to be able to find the time frame for the pair that you can see things the clearest. And then you want to use that to build your entry zone, to build setups and whatnot.
All right. So actually, you can.
That's fine. So we're gonna get into again. We'll cover like a couple of questions at the end, but I'm gonna get into my analysis now.
Well, my point is that you see the confirmations. Okay. I mean, at least you're practicing. It's better. It's still good.
I'm going to go over USD CHF. So 1 second. Can we go over that? And I'm going to go over some more of the major pairs. And
if a structure is broken,
we'll get started. Let's hold on questions.
All
right. So GBP USD. Let's start up on this weekly time frame. So right here, we're retesting a previous lower high right now. So we're at a weekly level of resistance, a weekly key level. We got this huge bearish engulfing, but then again, we're still above the moving averages. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
All right, so we're still above the moving averages right now. And then the last 2 weeks, we formed, you know, these 2 dojis, long wicks right here. Again, really respecting right now this 200-day moving average. So let's just bump down to daily, so to make sense what's going on. Daily, I see higher high, higher low, higher high, and then right here, boom, we're forming a lower high. So those are those wicks that's going on. So all that's telling me is that we are potentially going to retest this higher low that had just formed. So let's bump down to the 4-hour, because again, on this daily, we're seeing an uptrend structure, but at the same time, we are potentially missing out on an opportunity if we can't get down to this 4-hour. Because the 4-hour, we're actually breaking support like this, right? We're breaking support, we're forming a new lower low, and then right here, this is forming a perfect entry zone. Right here, we have resistance, we have 38.2, we have the 200-day moving average. We don't quite have any sort of candlestick formation. As you can see, market open gap lower.
Huge gap.
Right now, so there's definitely selling pressure coming into the market. I'm going to see, I think a retest, you know, with this gap could be imminent, and then I'm looking to short this. So GBP USD, I'm looking to short this week. We're just going to wait until we get some more confirmation. Let's bump to NZD USD. Again, NZD USD, all the way on this weekly, we got lower low, lower high, lower low. Right here, we're potentially forming that lower high on the weekly. We're right at a weekly resistance level, right, a key level. So there's definitely a lot of orders in this area based on how price previously reacts here. We had this doji candle up here with a smaller wick at the bottom, and then again another doji here from last week. So we're still above the moving averages. We're slightly overextended. I don't see on this weekly time frame really any sort of bearish signal yet. Let's bump down to the daily. On the daily, all I'm seeing is a break through these moving averages. So price is starting to shift, as in it's potentially getting ready to form its first higher low in this whole entire push upwards as price has remained above the moving averages for quite some time here. So momentum is shifting. Let's bump down to the 4 hour now. So the 4 hour, as you can see, we're breaking lower lows right here, lower low, lower high, lower low. So all I'm seeing right now is I'm thinking one of two things. The daily and the weekly, we are overall bullish. We're overall bullish on the daily and weekly, but on this 4 hour time frame, we're bearish. We're forming lower lows and lower highs. So one of two things I can see happening right now. I can see a retest, of this 100% level on this fib. Potentially, if we get a bearish signal here, I'm going to look to continue this 4 hour again into this daily higher low. Or if we break above on the 4 hour and we retest, then I'm going to look to continue the weekly and daily bullish trend and take buy opportunities. So that's NZD USD. Let's go over USD CHF. USD CHF last week, same thing. We were at this low right now. Previously, as these lows have formed, we've retraced. It's been pretty elastic, coming back a lot. Oh, shit, Texas. So we're coming back a lot. So last week we formed this doji at the bottom right here. Again, no sort of like bullish, but dojis do signify reversal. So I'm watching it in this area right now. Let's bump down to the daily. On the daily, we're below the moving averages. Overall, we're bearish, right? We're bearish on this trend, but at the same time, we've broken this minor level of resistance right here. So I'm just going to use the 4 hour to sort of make sense of this a little bit more. So the 4 hour right here, we've broken this level of resistance actually that had formed, and that was probably like a 38.2 on this, or maybe a little higher, like a 50%. We've broken above. So now we've actually come and we've found resistance at this weekly level, huge bearish engulfing. But at the same time, I'm not going to look too short at all based on this break until we break below this red level right here, red highlighted zone, and then followed by a little bit of a retest, and then we'll look to short. If not, if we do get a bullish signal, as in bullish engulfing, morning star, whatever, we'll look at the lower time frame, and then we're going to look to buy up into this area right here. So that's two opportunities potentially on USD CHF.
Yep.
So let's go over to USD JPY. USD JPY is in a crazy area right now. We've got this weekly trend line that that shit's been bouncing off of for a minute. It's been like crazy right here. 200-day moving average. That's two confirmations. We got this huge bearish engulfing right here, and then last week actually came back. And I guess I would consider that a bullish engulfing. I mean,
it actually gapped and then engulfed.
Yeah, so it's like pretty much, price fell off, price rejected, and then we came back up and we showed a ton of bullish momentum coming back, which is definitely major. At the same time, let's go down to the daily, make sense as to what the deal is. The daily, things are looking pretty much clear as day. We broke this higher low. Right here, we're at 100% retrace of this daily trend. Pretty much two situations. We're either going to get a bearish signal and look for sells, or we're going to get a break above here and look for a retest and look for a buy. Pretty much as simple as that. So those are the major pairs that I'm going to cover. Let's go down to some of the minor pairs. Let's hit up GJ and see what's good. So GJ, again, we're pretty much at this like lower high area. We got this trend line. Again, we got this 200-day moving average, but this is important because we have these two bullish engulfings or bearish engulfings right here at this monthly resistance level, right? So based on that, based on last week, we closed bullish, but we had, we failed to engulf. We had a little bit of a wick at the top. So that's just my weekly. Let's go down to the daily. The daily, we're forming higher highs, higher low, higher high. We formed a higher low, and then we formed this lower high. Lower high, what is it? Bearish engulfing, lower high right there. Boom. We retested this higher low. We actually found support. So this is interesting. Let's bump down to the 4 hour and let's just make sense of what's going on and potentially how we could take advantage of this. So down to this 4 hour, we are within this fib. I marked supply zone right here. I don't mark them often, but I did mark the supply zone right here. And then pretty much what I'm looking at is within this fib, we've broken some minor structure. We rejected 61.8 and then we broke above there. Now we're having this double top because of like the higher time frame and the two bearish engulfings that we have on that higher time frame. Right now, I am pretty bearish on this, but we have this double top. If we're playing it safe, I'm looking for a break below this random line, break below this level of support, followed by a retest. We're playing it very aggressively. Right now, we're pretty much looking for sells like in this area based on this double top, bearish, evening star, whatever. So this is our entry zone. What is an entry zone again? What we teach, we got multiple confirmations, 78.6. We got resistance. We have an evening star, so that's 3. That's 3 confirmations. That's more than enough to basically create some sentiment as to what we want to do. So that is what we're looking at right here. If we really get a break above this yellow area, then I'm going to look to buy. Again, if we get a break below here, I'm definitely looking to sell.
Yep.
So that is going to be GJ, and then this one is interesting, GCAT. Again,
similar?
Very similar. All of these GBP, everything's looking really similar just because GBP had those gains. Holy shit.
So fundamentals, we actually cover in our Discord. So if you join our Discord, just go to the news channel. We'll do a complete breakdown of every news event for the week ahead. This week was already posted. Go check it out. We just did a breakdown on NFP. So
yeah, some updates actually about fundamentals this week. Starting this week, we are going to be a lot more active. Some people have seen in the Discord in our news section that we started to post the economic calendar and like a few daily updates, and we've gotten very positive feedback about it. So we're going to take it to the next level. We're going to actually, there's a new page on Instagram, Forex League News, that we're going to get started. And we're going to share daily updates on there with fundamentals. But then also in the Discord, we're going to be engaging more. You can ask questions in this news channel based on what you want to, what you don't understand. There's a lot of news that comes out. We try to focus on just high impact. So yeah, we have that. And then we're also putting together a fundamentals course so that you guys can start to understand some of the key indicators as to what drives the market. So that's all coming out for fundamentals.
All free. Great value, guys.
The course is not free.
The course isn't free, but the fundamentals are, which is
the course
pretty
is
ridiculous.
The course is going to be included in our membership.
Yeah. And the fact that if you just go to the Discord and check out how much is actually there, it's kind of ridiculous that it is free. So it's definitely a huge resource that you guys can use.
Yeah. Again, though, the point of the Discord is
there's no news.
We are looking to work with beginners, but at the same time, we're looking to offer as much as possible to beginners, because me and Nick ourselves, we right now, the level that we're at, we're trying to work with the active trader, the intermediate level trader, right? Someone who's ready to back test, who's going through and is on the charts. If you're a beginner, there's steps to take, there's stuff to learn, and before you get to that stage. So we're trying to really give the beginner as much as possible for free, so that they can get educated, they can make a decision as to what they want to do when it comes to education.
Yeah, and the next step to take after that, because you don't want to know nothing before you jump into something. You want to be at least lightly educated, which I think we do a pretty good job of doing, especially through all the value that we do provide for free. So
let's cover this last pair, and then we're going to pretty much.
Well, yeah, he asked how much the course is. So we'll wrap it up. So finish this pair, and then we'll go over all our stuff.
We'll go over everything in the course and stuff.
Okay.
Let me just see.
The last part I'm seeing in Discord is the NFP. Yeah, that's.
Now, there was another post. There's a post today. We'll go over that, though. Let's go over this last pair right now, and then we'll get to all questions at the end. So GBP CAD, very similar. We have this lower high right here that's forming. So, again, bearish engulfing, huge bearish engulfing. Break below 200-day moving average. Last week ended with a lot of buyers' exhaustion. So let's head down to the daily. Again, daily structure, higher high, higher low, high, retest of this higher high, higher low, high up here, forming that first higher low now, right now. Then right here, lower high, right, form lower high. So lower high showing transition on the 4 hour. Bump to the 4 hour, what do we see? That bearish engulfing, break of support here, fib, right, fib this. What's going on here? entry zone, we have resistance, we have 50% or 61.8 level. And then look how many bearish engulfings. We have 1, we have 2, we have 3. You know, this is like a triple top or whatever you want to call it. You have quadruple top. We're finding
it's a lot of resistance.
We're finding extreme resistance at this level. So basically, all I'm looking for here, I'm bumping to down time frames on the 30-minute. You know, I'm looking to see if I can get a favorable entry on that time frame, and I'm going to look to short this into the daily potential higher low. Right, this is the previous higher low that really needs the break for this to transition. I'll look to short into that level of support, and then from there, I'll evaluate what the hell is going down. So that is going to be, that's all the analysis, you know, that we wanted to go over this week. 12 pairs. Again, this is recorded, so you can go over that. Go watch this again. Let's get some of the questions. So the course, let's see. We can go through change of direction, structure, example. Let's this is the thing. We have a free webinar on the 20th. We don't exactly want to cover all these questions right now just because this session is more for just analysis, and we want to kind of we want to start to trade and get into the charts because we got to trade. We have a free webinar on the 20th. It's coming up in 8 days. Any questions that you have, if you're not in the course, you know, obviously if you're in the course, there's going to be a webinar this week that you can get in on. But if you're not and you want to come ask questions, that webinar, we're going to put together questions there. We're going to go over questions that you have. There's going to be a ton of value in there.
Yeah.
We're going to get on the charts. We're going to do anything you guys really want in there. For anyone that's interested in the course right now, pretty much the breakdown on what is going on, if you're a member, is we have a 6-week course. Within the course, it's for beginners. It's for intermediate. You know, we're going to go over everything is going to be lesson, video. So there's going to be over 200 questions, quiz questions in there. There's over 50 videos. There's over 40 homework assignments, and we do one-on-ones.
Yep, there's guides, books.
So yeah, with the training plan, like we have this training plan, right, that you're going to get in there. This is basically like your study guide. You know, everyone prints it out. If you're in the U.S., I'll ship it to you. I'll ship this, the notebook, you know, whatever you have, whatever you want. U.S., Canada, like whatever, as long as it doesn't cost like $100 to ship, like we'll ship to you. And basically the whole entire idea is that as you're getting through the first 2 weeks, it's going to be more background on Forex, what it is, and then week 2, setting up applications, TradingView, MT4, you know, whatnot, getting yourself ready to actually start your business. And then week 3 is going to be technicals, so we're technical traders, right? So we're going to start to teach you the tools that we use. Week 3 homework, that's when you're going to start to schedule your one-on-ones because, you know, whether you know what to do or not, that's when you start to ask questions. And then every week we're going to have webinars on Tuesdays. So Tuesdays, the webinars, the idea behind those is we've been going over the homework in the webinars, how to do the homework.
Yep.
So we're just trying to make things as structured as possible. And so you guys really, all you have to worry about is showing up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
it's basically it, yeah.
Update the newspaper and we like this sort of
So just going over the how much is a course real quick. So we actually have two options for full memberships, 2 payment options. It's either $99 a month.
So we should actually say messages or whatever.
Well, I mean, you can message us too, but I mean,
yeah, it's either $99 a month or it's gonna right now it's $4.99. You know, that's the full
one-time
price.
payment, $4.99 for lifetime access, or like you said, $99 a month.
Yeah.
So that's for the full membership. Everything he just mentioned, you get, including signals, premium analysis, guides, books, the entire course, 6-week breakdown. A quiz is included, over 200 questions, one-on-ones. Guys, there's so much.
A little bit about signals too is that we don't advertise that we sell signals.
Right.
We don't market that we sell signals because we want signals to be for members that are in the course where they can use our trades as a learn and earn, as a learning tool, right? So that they can use that to start to gain confidence based on setups that we take, right? We don't advertise that we just have signals for that reason, right?
Yeah.
We want it to be you are going to trade similar to us. You're going to look at entries that we're taking. You know what I mean? So that's why we don't do that. But we do give signals. Had questions today about it. We're trying to give at least one a day. At the same time, it's quality over quantity.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
The week of December was hard. We had Christmas. You know, we had New Year's. We're not robots. We took off.
Yeah, the volume was pretty much dead anyway. So,
Yeah.
you know, they're very limited. during times like that, especially holidays, the opportunities become very limited in the market. So, it was just naturally a slow month for everybody.
I see a lot of traders saying that like this is really the first official week, kind of back in the market with everything. And like last week was shit just because all the news and everything coming out with the USD.
So, actually, speaking of news, you want to cover the Discord news? Because he asked where it is.
I mean, like, just look out for the Discord. We're going to update, the chats. You can see my screen right here. This news chat right here. I'm going to post something today. I'll post the analysis for this week.
Yeah.
And then pretty much from here on out, we're going to be posting fundamental. We're going to post like up here, market overviews, daily updates. So like up here with Iran, the important updates that are coming out. So there's just a lot that's going to start to be offered in this news chat, and you guys, it's free. So, it's free. Everything's going to be right there for you guys. We're also going to give like potential free signals in there, but it's going to be like one maybe every 2 weeks or something. So don't, bank on that, but
it's just another thing that we're going to, give away for free. Something just to tie this all together. So also, Quen here says, can we meet up in North Jersey? I'll introduce you to my own trading group. Yeah, we would love to meet up. That'd be awesome. I mean, we're always interested in meeting new traders around the area, pretty much just networking as a whole. Definitely, you just message either Angelo or I on Instagram, and we'll set something up happily. No doubt.
Hey, Norman, definitely message us after this. I see that you're asking questions. We're, again, free webinar on the 20th. We're trying to answer as much as possible, but at the same time, just shoot me a message, and we can definitely go over it.
Yeah. That's already messaged the page. Awesome, dude. Yeah, you too. Excited.
So yeah, that's gonna be. This is the Sunday Market Blitz. Time to actually get back to watching some football, some good games around today, which is gonna be nice. And thanks y'all for coming out. This is recorded. It's gonna be posted. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.
Peace, guys. Thanks for coming in.